Welcome to Holstein Connections, where we share the latest stories, insights, and news from Holstein Association USA and beyond. The largest dairy cattle breed association in the world, Holstein Association USA provides leadership, information, and services to help dairy producers worldwide be successful. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. This is Holstein Connections. Hello, everyone. Today we're excited to release the very first episode of Holstein Association USA's podcast. I'm Emily Bosch, the Senior Communications Manager, and joining me today we have a very special guest, Holstein Association USA's new CEO, Lindsey Worden. Lindsey, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Emily. Thrilled to be here.
Lindsey, you took the reins as CEO in January after John Meyer retired. What have your first few months on the job been like?
So I would say they've been a little bit of a whirlwind. So we've hit the ground running in January. So I really wanted to get out to several of our larger state meetings this year. So I've been fortunate to go to meetings in New York and California, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. In the meantime, we also had our Young Dairy Leaders Institute, and so I was down in Florida for that. So I've spent quite a bit of time on the road, but also just working with the team at all of our various offices, getting some staff settled into their new roles, and just having some kickoff meetings for some different projects. So we've had a lot going on, but it's been a fun several weeks.
Well, you may be new to your role as CEO, but you're certainly not new to the Holstein Association or the dairy industry. Your journey in the dairy industry started long before 2025. So take us back to your childhood growing up on a dairy farm.
Yeah, so I was born on a small dairy farm on the southern tier of New York in Broome County. My parents, Chuck and Vanessa, farmed together and milked about 65 cows, all registered Holstein. So I would say the first 10 years of my life were a pretty typical upbringing of a lot of farm kids. Just my parents milking cows and doing chores, and my brothers and I playing around the farm with the barn cats and, helping out where we could. And my life changed quite a bit when I was around 10. My family made the decision to move to southeastern New Mexico, and they moved our 65 cows down to southeastern New Mexico, built a new dairy with somebody that they met down there, and purchased a whole bunch more cows. And so at our largest in New Mexico, my parents milked around 1,400 cows. And so that was obviously a lot different. My parents had several employees who all had their full-time jobs, and there wasn't really a lot of room for kids to be helping with chores and things like that in a traditional sense. So my brothers and I, it was really fun. We had a lot of space to play, lots of concrete to ride our bikes on, and big hay bales to climb on. And so my mom still did all the calf chores down there with some help. And so we were able to help her and things like that. But we were fortunate. I was very involved in 4-H growing up, and my parents built a small barn where we could have our 4-H heifers, and I had some horses, we had pigs. And so that was kind of the area where my brothers and I could really get our hands dirty and work with our animals close up. And I think that's really what helped us all develop a love for the industry, is being able to have that hands-on experience with the cows, even though it was a lot different than how a lot of my now friends grew up. All my brothers and I are still involved in the dairy industry. 2 of my brothers farm with my parents now. They have since moved back to central New York, where they milk about 250 cows, and I have a brother that works for Valley Ag Software as well. So I thank my parents a lot for giving us kids that opportunity to have that hands-on experience with the animals, even though we had the large dairy farm.
Well, not only did you have that hands-on experience, but I think you also got the really unique experience of experiencing dairy in 2 very different areas of the country. And after high school, you also went to America's Dairyland for college. So talk to us about that experience, Lindsey.
I did. So, I picked up my stuff and moved halfway across the country for my family to the northern part of the country in Wisconsin. Went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. It was a bit strange for a kid from New Mexico to end up in Wisconsin, but I knew that I was interested in having a career in the dairy industry, and obviously, as you said, Wisconsin is America's dairy land. And I also knew I was interested in pursuing judging on a collegiate dairy judging team because, again, I was very involved in 4-H and enjoyed judging, and Madison had a competitive dairy judging team at the time, and I was fortunate that my dad had taken me to World Dairy Expo with him a couple of times, and he was friends with Ted Hallbach, who was worked in UW Extension, and so my dad had Ted give me a campus tour, and I got to meet some of the students there, and I really fell in love with Madison. You've got the Big Ten sports environment. It's a big campus, which isn't for everybody, but I really enjoyed it. And so I had a great 4 years in Madison. I was successful in competing on the dairy judging team in several contests, and I made a lot of really tremendous friends. And, on the judging team, I got to visit a lot of the, some of the premier registered Holstein herds on weekend judging practice trips. So that was really neat. And again, just kind of exposed me to another side of the industry that I hadn't really got to experience before.
Well, you complemented those experiences in class and on the judging team and in other college activities with an internship with the Holstein Association. What brought you to Brattleboro for the summer? Yeah, so I'd mentioned Ted Hallbach earlier. Ted's been a great mentor for me. So between my sophomore and junior years of college, I had done an internship with Ted through UW Extension working with 4-H programs. And so essentially working with youth programs all summer. And that was something I was interested in. And so when it came time to think about what I wanted to do for an internship before my senior year, I became aware of the Holstein Foundation internship, which was the youth programs intern. And again, I'd had some exposure to junior Holstein activities. I'd been to several national conventions with my parents, but we didn't have a lot of activities down in New Mexico for that. So it was interesting to me to learn more about that. And so I applied for the Holstein Foundation internship and was fortunate to be selected. So I got to make my first trip ever to Vermont, and I spent the summer in Brattleboro working very closely with Kelly Dunkley and Jody Hoynoski on a lot to do with planning the National Holstein Convention, the Dairy Jeopardy contest in particular. And so that was a lot of fun, getting to attend National Holstein Convention on the staff side and just work really closely with these programs that I was kind of aware of, but didn't have a lot of experience with. And then after National Convention was over, we had some wrap-up activities from that. But then I also got to just spend a little bit of time working in some of the different departments at Holstein. So I registered some calves down in the registry department, and so that was neat as well. And then the last week of my internship, Jody and John Meyer took me to lunch one day, and they offered me a full-time job after I graduated. So that's really how I ended up at Holstein full-time, and I guess the rest is history. Yeah, so what was that first full-time job that you had at Holstein, and then the various roles that you've had and been involved in since, Lindsey? Sure. So in college, I double majored in dairy science and life science communications. And communications, writing, doing those type of things is really kind of where I felt like I was going to kind of land for a career. And so the first role that I had at Holstein was as a public relations specialist. So just helping write press releases, helping write website content and doing things like that. So I did that for about a year and a half. And then I was promoted to be our communications manager. And so, very well the responsibilities of communications manager. It was probably a little bit different back 2010-ish when I took over than it is now in 2025. But redoing the Holstein website was my first big project, so it looks very similar now to what it did back then when I completed that project. I really enjoyed working with the Holstein Pulse and planning our trade shows and working on our printed materials and things like that. I think I might have started our Facebook page and Twitter and all that way back in the day and gotten that started, again, on a much different level than we have now. You and the team do an awesome job keeping us with the times, but I got that ball rolling. So I was communications manager for about 5 years. And then we had a key staff person leave the organization. And so John took that as an opportunity to do a bit of reorganization. And so at that point in time, he rearranged the way some of our services were aligned in some departments. And at that time, he created the genetic services department. And I've always been interested in genetics. I remember
having my first heifer. I was responsible for picking a bull for. My dad gave me the sire directories, and I paged through. I picked a bull, and luckily, I guess my dad was able to get semen on him, and I got a heifer calf out of that. But I always just think it's really cool, the process of having all these possible combinations of genetics, and then seeing what you get in a baby calf, and watching her grow up and repeat the cycle. So the genetic services department was created, and again, with my interest in genetics and also just my desire to grow in the organization and get more involved in kind of the business side of things, I would say, I decided to apply for that opening, and I was fortunate to get that job. So at that point in time, I became responsible for overseeing our classification program, genomic and genetic testing programs, software programs, which is something I've really enjoyed, and awards, and kind of a lot of the other value-added things that Holstein did. So I enjoyed that a lot, and I did that. I was the executive director of genetic services for 10 years, and so I really got to get my feet wet and sink my teeth into a lot of projects in my time in genetic services. And then, so again, I did that for about 10 years, and then in 2023, John decided that he wanted to move back to Wisconsin to work out of our Fort Atkinson office. And so at that point in time, he promoted me to Chief Operating Officer in around May of 2023. And so at that point in time, I also took over responsibility for the Identification Services Department and our IT department as well. And so was really overseeing a lot of the day-to-day things that were going on in our Brattleboro office. And that was a great experience. Again, just to have an increased level of responsibility, working with different team members, and just having that, I think, really helped prepare me for this next step that I have now. So.
Well, in all of those years and all those different roles, you certainly got to be involved hands-on in so many different things that go on within the Holstein Association. So what is it, Lindsey, about the Holstein Association that has kept you dedicated to the organization over all these years?
Yeah, so I think for me, it really comes down to two things. It's the people and the work. So I really love working for a membership organization. I love getting out in the field and meeting with our members and hearing their stories and hearing how registered Holsteins have helped them be successful, and how their involvement in Holstein USA has benefited from that. So I think, John Meyer used to say a lot that he worked for the best people in the world, and that would be our members, and with the best people, and that's with our team. We have the Holstein employees, and I couldn't echo that any better, so I'll steal that line from John. So it's the people, but then also the work. I mentioned I've gotten to move into different departments and be involved in a lot of projects. I've been really fortunate to have the opportunity to be involved in some things that I consider to be really exciting and challenging. And so I felt like I was being challenged. I was being able to grow in the organization. And so that's really what's kept me busy. I've been too busy to think about moving on to something different sometimes, but I truly, I really enjoy our members. I enjoy the work that Holstein does, and I've been happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And you certainly have been very busy in your time here. So what are some of the projects or collaborations that you've been involved with that stand out, or maybe you're most proud of?
Yeah, so there's definitely a couple things that stick out on my mind, and they were things that happened when I was working in the genetic services department. The first thing would be the development of Enlight and kind of establishing our partnership with Zoetis. Enlight was really at the impetus of that. And so it was really fun. I'm interested in technology. I'm interested in genetics. Holstein had a big gap to fill in how we were delivering our results to our members. It was a very labor-intensive process, and it wasn't as quick as it needed to be. And then also getting to collaborate with our wonderful partners at Zoetis. It was great to work with some really talented and bright individuals from another organization and bring all of our ideas together and come up with a product that we were really, really proud of. And I think it really changed the industry at that point in time in terms of how genomic results were delivered and the tools that farmers had available to them, 24/7. It was really a first of its kind product, and we had a lot of goals, and I think we were really successful in achieving a lot of them. And that's still something that I'm very proud of today, is how our collaboration with Zoetis has continued to grow over the last decade, really, and just mature into something different. So that's something I'm very proud of. And the other thing I'll mention is our collaboration with what started with the Guernsey Association back in 2018 on our multi-breed classification program. It was something that it came together really pretty quickly from the time we first said, or Guernsey first approached us and asked if we'd be interested in doing it, to when we held our first training. And it was something, again, when John Meyer and I were talking with the folks at the Guernsey Association, there's a lot to figure out. We weren't sure how our classifiers, if they were going to be interested in scoring this other breed, if they were going to be able to get up to speed quickly. We had to do some harmonization of some of our traits. And so there was a lot of moving pieces, and we moved pretty quickly. But our classification team did a tremendous job. They were excited about the project, and they really embraced doing the work. And so any concerns we had there were gone in an instant. And again, that was great. And then it's blossomed into more since then with the Ayrshire Association, the Milk and Shorthorn Association. And it's been really fun. We were so focused on our black and white cows and red and white cows, which are awesome, but it's really fun now at our classifier conferences. We get to spend a day going to these different breed farms, and again, the farmers that have those other breeds, they love registered cows just like our members love their Holsteins. And so it's fun to hear how the data that we can provide to those farmers helps add value to their operations, helps improve the genetic evaluations that they have available for their breeds. And so that's really rewarding. And again, it's kind of based in that collaborative spirit, which is something that I enjoy a lot.
Absolutely. I think collaboration and then also keeping pace with the changing dairy industry were two themes in those projects examples that you just gave. What are some of the newer upcoming projects that the Holstein Association is working on right now?
Yeah, so we've got some exciting initiatives planned for 2025, and I would say the next couple of years. I would say one of them is the launch of this podcast. I know this is something that you've had on your radar for quite some time, and I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to be an exciting new way to bring information to our members where they are. A couple other things that people might have heard something about. We've launched the first public-facing piece of our Elevation Information Technology project that we've been working on for several years. And that's our My Holstein online tag store. So www.myholstein.com is really going to be an online platform that we're going to continue to add on to over time. So we've got the tag store now. The next big phase of the project we're going to work on will be updating our Easy ID program that people can use to register their calves. That will eventually become a web-based application through the My Holstein platform. We'll eventually have online registration certificates, and just really moving our business into the future and helping our members get their information the way that they want. And I think the last thing we're kind of in the thick of right now is things are in full swing planning for our 2025 National Holstein Convention in St. Louis this June. So we're really looking forward to welcoming our members there. This is the second year that our team will be responsible for planning the event, and I think we've got some really fun things planned and a great venue there at the Union Station Hotel in St. Louis. So those are just a few of the high points that I think I can share at this point in time.
Before we dive into more of those exciting projects and insights from Lindsey's journey, a quick break to learn more about Holstein Association USA products and services.
It's easier than ever to take advantage of Holstein USA's programs and services and the added value of registered Holsteins with Holstein Complete. A convenient all-in-one package, Holstein Complete bundles Holstein Association USA's core services such as registration, classification, pedigrees, genetic reports, production records, and more. Holstein Complete customers save an average of 20%. With convenient monthly payments and discounts on additional services, Holstein Complete helps you maximize the value of your registered Holsteins. Learn more at holsteinusa.com. Sign up today to complete your herd. That's Holstein, HOLSTEIN USA.com.
Ordering ear tags just got easier with myholstein.com. Holstein Association USA's new online tag store features clearly displayed tag product categories, pictures of every tag option, and easily visible volume discounts. With order confirmation emails, shipping updates, and faster turnaround times, you'll know when your tags are on the way. Plus, enjoy pre-filled account details and access to order history for faster reorders, because we know your time is valuable. Order ear tags anytime, anywhere with the new mobile-friendly website. Visit myholstein.com to log in and place an order today. That's HOLSTEIN.com.
Lindsey, when we look at your story, I think a theme throughout your life has always been your ability to embrace change and new adventures. Talk about how you plan on using those qualities and the skill of flexibility and thinking on your feet to help move our association forward.
Yeah, so I really do think that moving around like I did when I was younger really helped me get comfortable getting outside my comfort zone. People that meet me, I'm not the loudest person or always the most extroverted person, but I feel like I do a nice job at embracing new opportunities, and I really think that is just because I was forced to go to new schools, meet new people, and just adapt to new cultures a number of times. So I do think that helps my mindset now in a professional standpoint. So when we're presented with a new opportunity or a new project, even if it's a little bit out of the box, I think a great thing that John Meyer did that was beneficial to the association is he really challenged some of the boundaries of some of the things that the breed associations would traditionally be involved in. John wasn't afraid to explore those new opportunities. So I think, again, just having kind of that flexible mindset, being comfortable, being uncomfortable sometimes, I think just really helps me embrace new projects and new opportunities and not worry so much about maybe the risk associated with it, but just be excited to explore something new and see what we can do. So yeah, I'd like to continue to build on John's legacy of pushing some of those boundaries and just making sure that we're putting the association in the best position that we can be for the future and delivering the most value that we can for our members and the industry.
I know that one thing that's been keeping you and other Holstein staff and board members busy recently is attending state Holstein meetings. What are some of the reoccurring themes that you've noticed as you've attended meetings throughout the country?
Yeah, so it's been great getting out to the number of state meetings that I have, and we've had some of our other team members get out to those meetings as well. But I think really what it comes down to is I love going to these meetings because the members there, they're excited to be there, they're passionate about what they do. And so I think the point that hits home for me is that people just really value these in-person gatherings and opportunities to get together and talk about and celebrate the things that they're excited about. And another fun thing that I always enjoy is several of these state meetings that I've been to, they have their junior convention at the same time as the adult convention, and nothing gets me excited about more than coming down out of the elevator in the morning, getting ready to go to the business meetings, and there's just kids everywhere, and they've got their chocolate milk from the dairy bar and their plate of cheese, and they're just ready to go crush it in Dairy Jeopardy or Dairy Bowl. So I love that at the state meetings. I love it at the national convention too, but that's just always really invigorating, and attendance has been as good as ever for, I would say, adults and the kids that I can remember in recent years. So it's great to see that.
It certainly is energizing to get together with our members and to see those juniors and the excitement that they exhibit, because they're definitely our future. What advice do you have for someone who might be in the same position that you were years ago, just looking for internships or just getting their start with a career in the dairy industry?
Yeah, I think I've been asked this a few times through the years, and my number one piece of advice for young people that is something we've talked about a couple times already, and that's just really don't be afraid to push yourself outside your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to take that internship that you're going to have to move out of state for. It's only a few months. And so just really, and it doesn't have to be moving to a different part of the country, but it could be, exploring something that you think you might be interested in, but you're not sure, or anything like that, just something that's outside your norm that gives you those new experiences, because I really think that's where the most personal growth occurs, is when you get outside your comfort zone. And you'll find too, as you continue to push on it, that your comfort zone becomes pretty big, and that opens a lot of doors in itself. And the other thing I would say that's been very beneficial to me in my professional development is just to say yes to opportunities. If somebody that you respect and trust offers you a new challenge or a new opportunity, you might, especially when you're younger, you might not think that you're qualified, you might not think that you're ready or that you deserve it. Well, if it's somebody that you respect is offering you that, they wouldn't offer it to you if they didn't think you were ready. And so don't be afraid to say yes to those opportunities, even if it's going to be, if it's something you're scared to do, just do it anyway, because even if you're not 100% qualified on day one, I'm sure you've got some great basic skills and you'll grow into it. And again, that's where a ton of personal development and learning happens, is when you've got a big goal that you're trying to reach. So say yes to opportunities, even if you're scared, is my second piece of advice.
And I think your story is a good testament that going outside of your comfort zone and saying yes to those opportunities can lead to some really exciting things down the road as well. Speaking of excitement, Lindsey, what excites you most about the future of the dairy industry, and then more specifically, Holstein Association USA?
Yeah, so I think one thing that we haven't talked about yet that has me very excited for our future is the Holstein cow herself. The trajectory that our breed is on in terms of genetic progress and productivity is unparalleled by any other breed or any other cows around the world, and that's incredibly exciting because, I always say when I'm talking to members, it doesn't really matter to me what your goals are, as long as your goals are something that's going to help you be profitable and have an operation that's going to sustain into the future. And I truly think that no matter what your milk market is or what your personal goals are or how you feel that you need to run a profitable dairy farm, I feel like there's there's genetics in the Holstein breed that you can use to reach those goals. And so when you've got that, it's impossible to not be excited about that. We've got a breed that can fit any purpose that the dairy farmers around the world need her to. And then we've touched on this a little bit already, but it's, again, comes back to the people. We've got amazing junior members that are coming up through the ranks. I think those are the people that will be looking for jobs. If they're not going back to the farm, they'll be looking for jobs in a few years. And we've got great people there, whether they can come work for the Holstein Association or different industry groups, or they become farmers themselves. I think that has me very optimistic for the future. And then our members that we have that are farming now, they're a very progressive minded group. They're adaptable. They've got an eye on the future. And so that has me excited that as we develop new programs, products, and services, that we'll be able to continue to add value for those folks, and they'll be open to utilizing them.
I think it's very exciting to look back on the progress that the Holstein cow has made in recent years and the potential for the future as well. So Lindsey, as we wrap up here, this is a question that I've always wanted to ask you. So I know, as we've mentioned, your schedule has you on the road a lot, and I know you enjoy traveling in your time off as well. And I'm always amazed that whether I'm meeting with you in a different location or at home in the Brattleboro office, you're always at your best and ready to take on the day. So what are some of your best travel tips for those of us who aspire to have that in our own lives?
Well, I appreciate that I give you that impression, Emily. That makes me very happy to hear. So a few things that I think of. So I'm kind of like a dairy cow. I like my routine. I like to get up at the same time every day. I like to eat the same thing every day and go to bed at the same time. So my first piece of advice is to make a routine that you can take with you. So, whether that's, I like to get up and get some movement first thing in the morning. Again, I kind of get up at the same time every day, regardless of what time zone I'm in. I try and have that consistent. I try and keep as many things consistent in my schedule as I can to what I would do at home, because that really helps me a lot. Staying hydrated is very, very key. Flying is very dehydrating, and it's easy to not drink enough water during the day. So making sure you're getting in, whatever your water goal is for the day. Don't just get through the day and only drink like a cup of water, because then you're not going to feel very good. And my last one is my secret to success, and that's packing your protein sources. So protein is really hard to come by when you're eating at restaurants and things like that. So I always like to have some protein bars in my backpack, so I can have a snack that's somewhat healthy and try and make sure I'm keeping my good protein intake, so I can keep my energy up and all that good stuff. So those would be my main tips.
We'll definitely have to keep those in mind as we head out to National Holstein Convention and board meetings in the months to come. So, Lindsey, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure we'll have you on the podcast again in future months and as time goes on, because you have so much wisdom to share. But just in order to get to know you a little better, I thought it would be fun to end with some 5 rapid fire either or questions.
All right.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Lindsey, early morning milking or late night barn check?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say late night barn check, because normally that's like a baby calf or something being born, and that's always a really exciting event for me. So late night barn check, even though I do like to get up early.
I was going to say that. I'm learning something new. I thought you were going to go with early morning milking for sure, since I know you wake up early. Lindsey, we know you like ice cream, but ice cream cone or ice cream sundae?
Definitely the ice cream sundae. I'm all about the toppings, the hot fudge and the Reese's peanut butter cups and the whipped cream loaded up.
And earlier you mentioned you had the Holstein Foundation internship, so I thought it would only be appropriate to ask Dairy Bowl or Dairy Jeopardy.
Yeah, Dairy Jeopardy is a program that's near and dear to my heart. When I was doing my internship, I was responsible for a big part of the contest, and I've helped with it for many years. So I've got to say Dairy Jeopardy is near and dear to my heart. And also I love that it gives the opportunity for kids that might not have a strong state association. Maybe they don't have enough kids to do Dairy Bowl that are the same age as them. I love that we have a contest that gives those kids the opportunity to show off their dairy knowledge.
We also mentioned our new online tag store, so I thought it was only fitting to ask custom ear tag or normal ear tag.
Yeah, I do love our custom ear tags. I know it's a little bit extra work to go put that tag in the calf when it's a little bit older, but I know I mentioned my family has a farm in central New York, and I don't get to be there as often as I'd like, but my family uses custom tags, so when I am there, I can go walk through the barns and see who the sires of all the heifers are, and that's something I enjoy. So I think our custom tags are awesome for the amount of information that they can provide.
And our final question, barn cat or farm dog?
I would love to have a dog, and I had dogs growing up, but now I would definitely say I'm a barn cat person. I've always loved barn cats, but I didn't consider cats a real pet until a few years ago. My husband Randy and I bought our house, and we found a cat in my parents' garage named Cheddar. We named him Cheddar, and he's made me a real cat person. So I like my barn cats.
Well, I was right on that one. I thought that Cheddar might get a shout out for that question. So, Lindsey, thank you so much again for joining us. It was wonderful to have you for our very first conversation of the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. This was fun.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Holstein Connections. Whether you're in the barn, on the road, or just tuning in for your dose of dairy news, we're glad you're here. Until next time, this is Holstein Connections.